Hello out there. It's 5:58, so I'm about 2 minutes early. And I haven't made a video for a long time, too long. Every time I would get ready to, something else happened on a Tuesday. So I am wanting to get back into the rhythm of it. And it's I'm gonna just sit here for a minute and wait to see people to see who comes on. And I didn't announce it a long time ahead, so I understand if you're not there. By the way, I will save this. So we're having a very long. The dog days of August showed up in June here in Missouri, and if you come on, I want to know if you're there. So let me know that you're there. And right now, I don't see a living soul. It's 104 right now. And I thank God for air conditioning. Thank God for air-conditioned car. Thank God for air-conditioned stores. And we are so blessed. And every day I just say, this is the day the Lord hath made, and I will rejoice therein. It's Tuesday, July 26th. And I will be making videos now on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I will try to give you some notice back and forth. I'm going to use those 2 days because it's so busy. You know, Friday night's activities, Saturday nights before church, Sunday you've been in church all day, Monday night you want a break, and so I'm doing Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I will be going back and forth. A lot of neat things are happening to this ministry, and as many of you know, I did not start this. The Lord started this. He did it, and so I have now. It's blossoming, and I've got more people, appointments with people coming, people going, people coming to get scans, people coming to get medical help, people calling me, private messaging me, and so I have a lot of different avenues that I'm working. And one of the things I'm doing is starting my new website. And it's under construction, but you could go there and at least look at it. It's not, of course, it's not ready yet, but it's called Tutor with Carol. How to be your own doctor, in quotes. And you know I'm very dedicated to wanting this. We want to get away from this medical system, and we want to be able to take care of ourselves for everything. The only way I would want to need the medical system is for trauma, broken bone, car accident, bowel obstruction that I hope I never have, but something like that. Would be what I would try to avoid. So I'm really working hard to finish it. I have to tweak it. My webmaster's helping me, and you know that I've never done this before. So I also have a book started, How to Be Your Own Doctor, in quotes. Recommendation for supplements on the website. You will be able to go through my website and get the things that I recommend. That's going to be real important because, number one, supplements are so expensive, and most of us are just on a really tight budget now. And so the nurses I work with, they're doing some of their own tinctures, herbs. And so instead of a bottle, you know, like a 2-ounce bottle that would be 40, 50, or 60 in some cases, it's only $16 to $17 a bottle. And so I will be selling herbs. I will be referring, and I have been doing this all along, but now I'm going to get a small percentage of what I sell. And I haven't been doing that. In fact, I'm even signed up as an Amazon associate, and not that you get a lot, but every little penny helps. And so I'm going to be doing that. I want to know if you want to have a scan. You can private message me. I actually have some people that support me monthly, not very many. But one person, she supports me $25 a month, and okay, but that's $300 a year, and it comes right at the first of the month when I don't have as much coming in, and it's just a blessing. And so I do have people that are very good to me and give me more money than I would require. But I charge between 50 and 100 for phone calls, depending on how long the call is, how much emails I have to do, how many different texts I have to send, information I have to copy. So that will be what would cause me to have to spend more time. I also do FaceTimes, and I think those are very valuable because I can look at your face, I can look at your eyes, I can examine you somewhat from the head up. That does help me, and I can tell a lot about dark circles are very indicative of several problems. So I can tell a lot about a person by the how they look. My verse that I always cling to is, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. I want you to become knowledgeable. I want you to really know what's happening with your body and how to treat it. And it's not that hard to learn. You can learn it. You know, home remedies. Back in the 1800s and the early 1900s, our people survived with home remedies. That's what they did. And so home remedies are phenomenal, and there's a lot you can do. And of course, I always say your food is your first line of medicine. Your food is medicine. The Bible says the leaf of the field shall be to you as medicine. So herbs and oils and foods and minerals are that's how we get our medicine in the holistic world. I want to talk tonight about hidden causes of anxiety. I'm not giving up on anxiety, depression, and suicide because it is rampant right now in our world. It's unbelievable how many suicides, young people, I hear about them a couple times a week. And of course our vets, it's 22 times a day we lose a vet. And so we have a very high rate of suicide going on. We have a high rate of anxiety and depression. There are hidden causes. And I always say the first thing you to do when you check out someone who's depressed or has tried a suicide attempt, I always say have the person get a thorough and complete checkup. And of course, that doesn't always work like in an ER, and it doesn't always work with every doctor, but there are places you can get real answers. And one of them is a biomeridian scan. Another one is hair analysis, blood analysis, urine analysis, and sputum analysis. There's a lot out there. I have a naturopathic doctor and I have a nurse scanner. I use both of them for different things. And I just am so spoiled because I'm right here in the Bible Belt. And I get to have I just have a lot of good resources here in Southwest Missouri. We are at a very our state is more conservative, our laws are more conservative, and that makes us able to have more naturopathic doctors and holistic nurses, chiropractors. We have all kinds of different type of healthcare professionals, and they're in the holistic or functional medicine world. How do parasites cause anxiety and depression? First, I want to give you sort of a step-by-step what happens. And you say, well, Carol, how do I know if I have them? And we're going to talk about that. But I will guarantee you, you have them. If you have a pet, you have them. If you eat sushi, you have them. If you eat rare meat, you have them. If you have a garden and dig in the dirt, you have them. They're everywhere. You can catch them. And, you know, people don't realize, okay, your dog licks his privates, then he licks his fur. Then you come by and you pet him. And you get some of those microscopic eggs on your hands. Then you touch your ear or your eyes or your face or you don't wash your hands every time you pat your dog. That would be abnormal, and I understand that. My husband and I both have had pets. We don't have one right now because we just can't really afford it. And so anyone who has pets at all is going to have a parasite problem. I can't even list all the symptoms, but I'll get to that. But the first thing that happens is parasites are eating your nutrients. I guess I know my husband's had tapeworms a number of years, like 20 or 30 years. And my guess is that, I've had them a number of years being a nurse, being on missions trips. I worked with animals a lot in 4-H. And so I know that I've had them a long time. I didn't discover it until I was November of 2019, which makes me 68 years old. When I came here, I went and got a biomeridian scan, and because I was having shortness of breath and fatigue, and I did not want to go through I know they'd give me heart tests right away. I may have to have those someday, but right then I didn't think I wanted to get into all that. So I had a biomeridian scan, and they eat your minerals, they eat your vitamins, they eat your nutrients, they eat your DNA, they eat your protein, your fats, your carbs. They're eating. They lay thousands, yea, millions of eggs a day. And so as they're reproducing and eating more, they also excrete. So number one, they're eating everything, which can make you fatigued. I've had fatigue for 25 years. Did I stop working? No, I kept working, I kept going, but I had a lot of fatigue. And so they eat everything, and they're comfortable, and they keep eating. Now, I remember when I first found this out, I asked my nurse, I said, nurse scanner, I know a skinny person can have parasites because they're losing all their nutrients. And you've ever seen a lot of skinny people that just eat nonstop all the time? Right. And people joke and say, oh, they've got a tapeworm. Well, they probably do have. And my husband is the type that has to eat continuously. As soon as supper's over, he goes and gets a handful of nuts, or he used to have popcorn. Now there's no popcorn because we've stayed off of that. But it's usually nuts or, cashews, almonds, walnuts, pecans, all kinds of different nuts, pistachio. And so, or if he doesn't have that, he's going to try to have a healthy cookie that I've made. So he is going to be eating all the time. Me, the opposite. I'm not hungry in the morning when I get up. In fact, I'm a little nauseated. And during my years earlier, before I knew I had parasites, I was nauseated every morning, not knowing that's a main symptom of parasites. So you can be either overly hungry or not as hungry. Maybe just eat one meal a day. I asked my nurse scanner, how can a fat person have worms or parasites? And if you need a nicer word, call them invaders or microorganisms. But it would be good if we would just get settled down to just don't be turned off by the fact that they're weird and that they're in your body. Accept that medically we all have them, and we've had them for thousands of years. And you're not going to get them all cleaned out, but you're going to work to get as many cleaned out as you can. And re-test, re-parasite, cleanse a couple times a year. So then they make you crave the foods that they like, that make them grow, which is pasta, bread, cookies, processed food, carbs, all kinds of carbs, junk food, even good carbs they crave. But mostly they crave junk food and soda, all the bad things that people eat. When I became a home health nurse, I got downsized from my job in 2010, and I became a home health nurse on the road. I went into severe cravings. Of sugar, and we have the place that everybody's famous, Albanese. We have the Albanese factory in Maryville, Indiana, that makes the red gummy bears that are famous all over America. And I think they sell Albanese in every Walgreens, but they're distinctive. They're like known for that. It's a huge, huge candy factory. Used to have a chocolate fountain that came from the ceiling dropped like 30 or 40, 50 feet. I don't know. I don't remember exactly. I think they had to change it with COVID. But it's a huge candy factory. And right next door is a big popcorn factory. And so I would go get me I would say I'm only going to get a fourth of a pound. I'd get a small amount. But when I was stressed out on the computer doing my Medicare work, I would eat those gummies and just chew on them and all that sugar. And when you're under stress, you want more of the bad things because the parasites are waiting. Do you know they sit and wait to be fed, and people who try to fast have difficulty fasting? That's part of the reason. They're waiting, those parasites are waiting to be fed. So some people eat all the time. Some people are the opposite, don't eat enough. So my nurse said to me, Carol, your body is, because it has parasites, is hanging on to everything. It doesn't want to let go of anything because it needs your fat. And what's funny is on the scan, your top front page, it's color coded. Yellow is sluggish organs, red is stressed organs, and green is balanced. And it lists all the organs in your body. you've got over 300 lymph nodes. It lists the 6 areas of lymph nodes: your heart, your liver, your kidneys, your pancreas, everything. Your female hormones, your other hormones, all of it's listed. Every single one of my organs was red, except for 2, I think. And one was fatty tissue. My fatty tissue was green. And we were laughing about that, my husband and I have healthy fatty tissue. Well, then when I went back to see my nurse, Miss Evelyn, I said, is my fatty tissue hanging on to everything because the parasites? She goes, yeah, that's why. Well, so when I went back for my next scan and we started killing things, my fatty tissue turned red. That was good. And so the parasites they're microscopic, they're tiny, but they can grow large. If you are interested, I'll send you a picture of a 6-foot tapeworm that one of my friends passed, and they're amazing. They can grow to 20 or 30 feet. I believe my husband's had them for 65 years. I believe he's had them. He remembers at age 10 having stomach problems, and he's had stomach problems his whole life. Most of the parasites do live in your stomach and your gut. However, they do travel. They can go to your lungs. They can go to your brain. They can go to your liver, your pancreas. But most of them are down here, causing a lot of havoc. There's hookworms that have 2 little tiny teeth. They can hang off your bile duct for 20 years. I'm sure with all the gallbladders that are removed in our country, and almost everybody's lost, so many people have lost their gallbladder, which that does not, all it does is get you out of pain. It does not solve anything. In fact, digestion problems get worse as you get older, unless you're taking enzymes to help you digest. And I don't mean Prilosec or drugs. I mean digestive, healthy enzymes. So number 1, they're eating your nutrients, your vitamins, your minerals. They're eating all that. Okay, so secondarily, what that causes is they lay thousands of eggs, okay? And those eggs will get in a group, like a nest, and your body puts a film around it trying to protect, like close it around. Well, then that forms a cyst or a granuloma or a tumor. Call it whatever you want. Sometimes they're cancerous, sometimes they're not. And I always ask people when they say, Carol, it wasn't cancer. I go, well, what was it? They don't test it for fungus. They don't test it for parasitic, which can be tested. Even the major medical centers don't test those growths and tumors. So those little cysts grow, and they can grow and grow for 20 or 30 years until they get quite large, and they start pressing on organs. Start pressing on your colon or your liver or your pancreas, and they may be, I haven't proven it yet, but I personally believe this is where cancer starts. I believe cancer starts when one of the 5 invaders gets in your body, gets lodged in there, reproduces, and through the years it grows, and if it dies, it's corrupt, it's dead parasites, and it could easily mutate and cause cancer. The cancer doctor I talked to recently said when you find the cancer, it's been there 10 to 20 years, growing real slow. So then these cysts and these cysts, these tumors, these granulomas, they grow and they press on things, and they will invade an organ. Thirdly, your organs cannot get the minerals they need because the parasites are eating your magnesium, your iodine, your selenium. Nobody talks about selenium. Selenium is a very important herb. Dr. Cal Streeter told me that was really important to take. So you've got all these factors. 1, you've got the invasion. 2, they are eating your nutrients. 3, they're creating cysts, tumors, and they can create blockages. 4, as they're eating and stealing from you, your DNA, well then your organs are going to get weak. They're going to get damaged. You're going to try to rebuild cells, and they're not going to rebuild properly. And so then you're going to go into some kind of organ failure. I believe kidney stones, one of the major factor of kidney stones is parasites. Because it's eating your magnesium, and you need magnesium and B vitamins to keep your kidneys without stones. I have a friend who drinks probably, she's a nurse. She probably drinks between 3 and 10 Diet Cokes a day. She's never had a kidney stone. I, who drink barley green, water, and carrot juice, got a kidney stone. I believe with all my heart it was due to the parasites eating all my magnesium. They're eating all my nutrients, and therefore then I get out of balance, and a calcium lodges in my kidney and starts a kidney stone. By the way, I had my kidney stones analyzed, and they were made up of blueberries, dark chocolate, spinach. They were oxalate stones. I had them sent to Mayo Clinic and analyzed. So they told me all the good ingredients that made up my stones. Can you believe? And most people think whenever there's different kinds of stones, okay? So they wanted me to cut my spinach down. Well, I'm not going to cut my dark greens, but I started taking much more magnesium, and I do supplement trace minerals, which are very important. So fourthly, you've got tapeworms, pinworms. I'm not going to name them all. Tapeworms, pinworms, roundworms, they eat in your body. They live in your body. Therefore, they excrete in your body. I'm using the nice word. So when they excrete their waste into your body doesn't like that. That's toxic. That causes inflammation. And when your body senses there's toxins, then it lets out white blood cells. Your immune system is activated. Your lymph system is activated. And because your lymph system is like the National Guard coming in to save you. And so so your body gets all stirred up when all these creatures excrete. And even in the viruses, I'm talking about the CV virus, those are living viruses. They eat also, and they damage also. So viruses, bacteria also eat Staphylococcus, Streptococcus. So there's all kinds of invaders, but I'm speaking tonight specifically about parasites, which most people do not think they have. Doctors don't address it. Traditional medicine most of traditional medicine doesn't even think about this when you come to see them. They don't know it. I would say it's probably taught to them. Infectious diseases are taught to them when they're in med school, but they think that's all for people who are overseas, and even missionaries. I think every missionary, if you hear this, you need to do a parasite cleanse. You should be doing one, probably a different one with different types of herbs, 3-4 times a year at minimum. Anybody who has pets, in fact, I meet people, they don't deworm their pets, and then they wonder why their pet gets a tumor or why their pet dies. And so, anybody who has a pet, anybody who works on a ranch or a farm or with animals, or a butcher, a daycare worker, all the medical profession, we're at very high risk because we've been dealing with bodily fluids since I was a young girl. I used to work in the nurseries in my teenage days, and then I went to nursing school when I was 18. And we've been dealing with bodily fluids, and they can splash, they can get on our uniforms, they can get on us. And so we're very high risk. And I may make another video just to tell you how you get them. Because you can shake someone's hand at church. You can touch a doorknob in the you can get it off a bathroom seat, bathroom toilet seat. You can touch a doorknob. You can eat a piece. They said a piece of sushi has like 10,000 eggs, microscopic parasitic eggs. I used to eat sushi when I was in a really quality Japanese restaurant in California, but I don't eat it anymore. And of course they say, right, they always tell you it's a risk to eat raw fish or raw meat. And so all of those areas, many areas we can get them. And so some of the symptoms, okay, which anxiety is a big symptom. The gas that they let off causes anxiety. I noticed one day, and people who have difficulty with these have difficulty fasting, and I don't advise that they should fast for a spiritual reason until they get them under control. My husband, I did not know how bad he was, but we tried to fast for the revival, and by 5 o'clock that night, he just said, I have to go to bed. I just can't take it. I can't take it. And so little did I know, my nurse scanner said, Carol, those parasites are sitting and waiting for food. And when you don't feed them, they start letting out this gas. Well, that gas causes horrendous anxiety and depression. And so that alone, besides the toxins that they let off. But I listed a few of them, but this is not exhaustive at all. I wish it was better. I just didn't have time to list them all. I can't dive that deep into this subject in 1 hour, but I want to tell you, I've read several thousand pages. I just listened to 2 podcasts, and I'm reading a 3rd book about how they control our brain. Like you get a sugar craving, then you get a salt craving, then you get a sugar craving. You go to the store and buy a payday candy bar, or you go get your M&Ms, whatever it is. You're controlled by these invaders. Instead of eating on purpose, act of the will, I will eat healthy. I will eat greens. I will eat organic grass-fed meat. I will eat salads. I will eat fresh veggies. I will eat raw veggies and hummus. And there's all these, but yet nobody ever says, oh, I'm craving some raw carrots. Oh, I can't wait till I get a salad. Now me, I'm hooked on my greens. I love my greens. I took a pile. We went to the dining hall tonight, and it's Taco Tuesday, and we get the meat and all the vegetables and everything, and then I take a big pile of salad and cabbage, and I put all the veggies and the meat on top of that with some good hot salsa and hot fresh jalapenos from the farm. So but I love my greens, but hardly anybody says, oh, I'm craving greens. I'm craving carrots. I'm craving some smashed cauliflower. I'm craving some broccoli. You never hear that. What you hear is, I'm craving pasta. I'm craving chips. I'm craving a candy bar. I'm craving a burger. I'm craving French fries. All of the foods that feed the wrong things. And of course, sadly, what we have in America is a horrendous problem with obesity. My doctor and nurse, they said, these big bellies, they're probably loaded with parasites, probably loaded with tapeworms. And so we now, they're saying by the year 2030, which is, that's just 6.5, 7 years, 1 out of every 2 people will be a diabetic. And so these creatures can actually control your emotions. They control your tension. They control your anxiety. I believe with all my heart, after reading everything I've read, that between Lyme and parasites, some of these invaders, they get in your brain and they cause brain issues, cognition issues. And so here's some of the symptoms: constipation, diarrhea, or both. Some days one, some days the other, but definitely constipation. Allergies, asthma, acne, cysts and tumors, lung diseases, flu symptoms, endometriosis, anxiety, depression, sensitivity to light, eye and ear problems, vision problems, memory loss. There's just, in fact, I believe that many diseases have their root started with one of these invaders that got in, started growing, reproduced, and took over. And then, based on the person's genetics, their eating, a certain system breaks down. Without a doubt, I will guarantee you, many of the children who have cancer, why would a brand new child come out of the womb 2-3 years and get a brain tumor? Children are very high risk for parasites. They're crawling on the floor. And when they crawl on the floor, who knows what they're getting? Children and older people are very high risk for parasites. And people won't believe me, but there's kids who have seizures. The parents take them to the ER. The ER says, everything's negative. He just has a seizure disorder. Here's some drugs. The parents even go to a high-tech neurologist. They still don't find anything. He has a seizure disorder. Did they test for parasites? No. Even the specialists, no, they don't test. And so here you are with a person, these children. And by the way, chemotherapy does not kill parasites. This is why I think a lot of people take chemo and still die. Probably they had a parasitic tumor. I have seen parasitic tumors. I have seen people with them that they were diagnosed with them, parasitic brain tumors. I saw one on Dr. Oz. They're out there. So these parasites, these worms, they can just get in there and grow, and they can just hide. So right now I'm drinking wormwood tea. And wormwood tea has black walnut in it. It has wormwood in it. And wormwood's listed in the Bible. This is a tea of herbs, and it's rather strong, and I don't mind that. And I put DE in it, diatomaceous earth, which is the binder. And so I have a little 3-point outline about parasites. It's called three words: kill them, bind them, and then sweat them out. And it's very important that if you decide to parasite cleanse, that you're going to the bathroom every day, a couple times a day. As I've gone to my nurse scanner and she interviews different people, they'll say, do you have a bowel movement every day? They say no, 2-3 times a week. Folks, that is awful. If you eat 3 times a day, you literally should be going to the bathroom 1 to 3 times a day. A baby's diapers get changed about 7 times a day because they're eating every 3 hours. And the reason they have to eat every 3 hours is their stomach is about the size of a cherry. They can't fill it up too full. So a baby is growing. You know how all of a sudden it's no longer a baby, it's a toddler. That quick they change. They go from being a newborn to a baby to a toddler in a year. And because millions and millions of cells are being created and the kid is just growing so fast. And so, you know, we are living cell creatures. And so we should be having, if we're eating 3 times a day. Now I really like to eat 2 meals. That's about it. And I may have a snack of nuts or turkey, hormone-free turkey jerky. I do like buffalo jerky too. I do some kind of a protein snack. But and I have my healthy cookies and I have my healthy ice cream, believe it or not. I got all my legal stuff. But pretty much I'd say 2 meals a day. My husband, it's 3 meals and 3 snacks. And so you should be going several times a day. If you're not and you try to kill these parasites, they're going to lay in your colon dead, and that's going to make you really feel lousy. So you got to kill, bind, sweat. Now I have many different types of parasite cleanses. I have simple ones. I have ones where you can make a parasite smoothie every day. I have some that it's just like wormwood tea. I'm doing wormwood tea this week, and next week I'm doing something stronger. I'm going to go week on, week off, week on like that. And so I've decided I was going to parasite cleanse all summer, and because I still have them. And so then you got to bind them, which means you need a binder. Like the traditional world uses psyllium or metamucil. I use either flax seed or diatomaceous earth, which bind. Okay, so you kill them, then you bind them, and then you excrete them. So, and by the way, sweating is really important because sweating is another way to get toxins out. And so I just read this, that you take the herbs, you take the parasitic herbs right before you eat. Because here's the thing, the parasites, as soon as you eat, they're gonna start eating your food. So if you take the herbs right before you eat, then when they come to eat, they'll swallow those parasite herbs. Then 2 hours later, you take the binder, which is like DE. It can also be Healthy Acres has a bowel cleanser or a psyllium. It can be psyllium. It can be Metamucil's not as good, but I really like the diatomaceous earth because it will bind and kill. And then you either do a hot bath, a hot shower, get out in the sun. So I've done saunas, and you got to get the lymph moving. Okay. Your lymph system, you have 300 lymph nodes, and you have a lot in your armpit, you have a lot in your neck, down the center of your body, into your groin area, and behind your knees. You've got certain dumping, what we call dumping stations. And like, for example, you've got they're clustered like grapes. But the lymph system has no pump on it. That's why we need to exercise. We need to jump on a trampoline, or walk. Just walking is the best. Walking is the greatest exercise. And so when you move your body, then the lymph system is moving, and the lymph system is the system that fights off toxins. But when you don't move it, then you get stagnant, and then this fluid backs up into your body, and you can actually be swollen with fluid. I've seen a lot of overweight people or sick people are bloated. Do you ever notice their faces are big, their neck is big? Well, their lymph nodes are just probably full of fluid and toxins. So you have to walk, jump, I'll be sitting reading my Bible, and I'll be moving my arms up and down like this. I dry brush, and what that is it's very inexpensive. You can get it on Amazon or at Walmart, but I like Amazon's better. $5 or $6 it's called a dry brush for skin brushing. And I start at my toes, and I go up both legs, and I stop. I brush to behind my kneecaps where there's a big bunch of lymph nodes. Then I come up both legs, the thighs to the groin area. I do circle motion over the stomach. Then I do my upper body, and I do my chin. I do everything. And I start with my fingers and go to my armpits, and you brush toward the heart. So I do that every time I take a shower. And I don't take long. I just do a 10-minute one. YouTube wants you to do a 40-minute. I go, we don't have time for that. But I will do a 10-minute dry brushing of of my body to get the lymph system moving. And I do a hot and cold shower, hot, cold circulation to get some of these out. And people ask me, well, how often should you do it? I would say at least 3 or 4 times a year. I think I have you won't be able to see this in totality, but you can see the color coded. My naturopathic doctor has a schedule here of all her cleanses. I just want you to look at the colors. You see all those different colors? Okay, like the brown ones are all bowel cleanses. So in January, you do a bowel cleanse. February, you do a liver gallbladder cleanse. March, you do let's see, what is it? A kidney bladder and then a lymph cleanse. And where's the parasite cleanse? Okay, parasite cleanses in May and November. Now, if you have known parasites, you might want to do a third one. If you're a missionary, medical person, daycare worker, and you know you've had parasites. I have some people come and get scanned. They have 20, 30 parasites. I had 7, and this last scan, I still have one. I still have a scan. I still have a parasite amoeba. I have had a parasite in my brain. I've had a parasite in my bladder. And sometimes there's parasites in your organs, and sometimes the scan says it. Sometimes it just says you've got one. It doesn't mention where. But just like if you left your house always dirty and you never cleaned it, well, that's what our bodies are like. If I just let my refrigerator, if I never cleaned it and I just jammed stuff in and threw stuff out, it would be dirty. My bedroom, if I never cleaned it, if I never washed my sheets and I never emptied the trash. And we've seen homes like that, some of us who've gone visiting and when we're helping people. I remember in Chicago, I would see some unbelievable homes. When I was a hospice nurse, I went to a house one night, there were roaches, wall-to-wall roaches on the walls in Hammond. It was awful. Well, that's what your body is like, folks. And of course, the more you've had a bad diet, the worse it is. Is it any wonder that the second killer of both men and women in America is cancer? Because we're full of all kinds of garbage. And we need to cleanse out the body. I did do a liver, I probably need to do another liver gallbladder cleanse because I know I have 2 small cysts on my liver. I believe they're parasitic. I do not know how long I've had them. They're smaller though, they have shrunk. And I'm hoping that they're gonna, as I keep working at it, they're gonna, if you cleanse enough, they should cave in and then dry up, is what I'm hoping. And so the body needs cleansing. The body needs clean food. The body needs water. During this time of heat wave, you should be putting in a lot of electrolytes, a lot of salt and water. And by the way, don't buy the normal electrolytes. It's full of garbage. Buy one that's healthy. You can get coconut water with herbs in it, and you can get coconut water with electrolytes and salt, and you can just get 1/4 of a teaspoon of real salt, unrefined salt, and put it in water. But you really need to guzzle the water. And I still meet people that are in their 40s and 50s and they've drank pop for 30 years, 40 years, soda pop. I go to homes and there's 4 or 5, 7 candy dishes in the house. They all sit and eat candy all the time. Candy's not a food. Donuts are not a food. Now you can learn to make some gluten-free donuts and gluten-free muffins and gluten-free cookies. I make delicious cookies. I've got some good recipes for cookies. And we've got companies now that make grain-free cookies, and they use monk fruit and stevia, and there is more online available than ever before. That's one of the great things about the new generation. There's more healthy things out there. But on the other hand, our food is more damaged. We have more GMOs. We have more pesticides. Our mass-produced food, as in wheat, soybeans, anything soybean, unless it's organic, non-GMO, which is hard to find, and our meat, our soybeans, our wheat, our corn, is all mass-produced products in America are loaded with toxins, mycotoxins caused by all the pesticides. We store our corn in silos and it gets moldy. Then we feed it to the cows. The cows eat it and it becomes a mycotoxin. We butcher the cow, we eat it, so we get full of toxins. It isn't so much a certain food is bad, it's what's been done to the food. And you say, well, what does that have to do with parasites? Well, they love bad food. Folks, I do fall off the wagon. I am in a fight right now for my life. I did really well my first 18 months, and then I did good. And during my birthday, I took back some sugar. So I'm back on track. And, I'm not saying I even ate it 3 days. I might eat 2 days bad. But because I've had such a bad track record from the time I was a teenager until I was 45, I ate pretty bad. I lived with teenagers. My favorite foods were pepperoni pizza and Dairy Queen peanut butter parfaits. So I know what it's like to eat all that stuff. And of course, all of that processed food creates a weakness in our nutrition, our immune system. We should have really healthy immune systems. If we have healthy immune systems, we can fight off everything. That's why during the COVID, so many people passed away because they had weak immune systems. They were obese. They had comorbidities such as diabetes, heart disease, or some other, bad disease like lupus or something like that. But even young people who were overweight, a lot of them died because obesity is a very high risk. And you're not going to get thinner by dieting. You're going to find out the root problem for your weight issue. I was on a pretty healthy diet for years and years and years and years, and I still couldn't get my weight down. And not knowing that I had parasites and Lyme, and I've also had Rocky Mountain spotted fever. I've been to 49 states and 9 foreign countries. I've camped. I was a hiker. I loved the outdoors. I used to go hiking with all my nurse friends and students. I would be hiking in the woods, and so I have a lot of high risk behavior that has caused some of the invaders that I have, and some of the tick-borne diseases. And tick-borne disease and parasites will twist together in your body. So if you are interested in something simple, private message me. I will leave a couple things. Watch my page. I will probably leave some things that are on Amazon. I'll recommend those. I have my own, when I get my website up, and I'm just about there, I will have the protocol that we use. It's $51, 3 bottles. But it does help to change your diet along with the herbs and the medicines. And by the way, one thing you've got to learn is, like, when you buy a bottle of vitamins, okay, or a thing of herbs, you as a layman do not know therapeutic levels. Okay, so then you look at the back of the bottle and you go do what the bottle says. And many people say, well, that bottle did nothing, or I didn't see any help. And by the way, don't keep taking stuff if it doesn't work. And so you have to have somebody that'll help teach you therapeutic levels. That's one reason I'm dedicated to this ministry. I want to teach you to self-treat, so you'll know how high can you go on a dose and what can you safely do. And so therapeutic levels are not always on the back of the bottle, okay? So that's important to know. Example, let's take Motrin. Motrin says you can safely take 200 milligrams, or ibuprofen, Aleve, any of those, they're all in the same category, that you can take 200 milligrams every 4 hours. Okay, well, you can actually take or every 6 hours. But when you go, let's say you go to the ER and you've got a sprained ankle or a broken ankle, well, they'll give you the therapeutic level, which is 1 pill of Motrin that has 800 milligrams. That's like 4 of the 200s. And you can take that every 6 hours. So there's a higher therapeutic dose indicated for an injury. Now, I don't take that stuff. I use different pain medications now. They're all natural. I use arnica, I use curcumin, I use different things. And so, because I don't want the side effects of the drugs. But the point is that when you get a bottle of something, you're not necessarily going to be taking the therapeutic level, which that I want you to learn. I want you to learn about what you can do. The first time I drank warm wormwood tea, I made it so strong, I had an immediate explosion to the toilet. So I don't make it that strong now. And actually the directions say to take I think it's a half of a teaspoon and put it in 8 ounces of boiling water. So now I made this cup is a little strong, and so I made it a little stronger because I can take it better now, because I'm eating foods that balance it out. I don't get diarrhea from it. I've been on this cleanse for 2 weeks and I haven't been sickish. One day my stomach didn't feel right, I did have some sugar. I went to a party at church and I did have some bad food and I did not feel good the next day. And so I'm really in a fight to get this. I don't want to spend my old age fighting sugar cravings. I hate that. And so I'm at work doing this. I have several cleanses available that you can purchase and or do, and they don't have to make you sick. I just wish, some people say, well, have you seen any parasites in the toilet? No, but I wish I did. You know, we nurses, we're a special crew. We like to see things, and I don't get upset when I see blood. I do if they need my help, but I don't panic and, and scream and, that. If I saw somebody that was bleeding, I'd immediately try to find the source and stop the bleeding. If I saw somebody that stopped breathing, I'd start CPR. That's just part of our training, but we also like to see things. I remember, I will close with this story. I remember one day at the clinic, I was working for Dr. Cal Streeter. And I told the lady in the lab, if you ever see anything under the microscope that's different, call me, and I want to see it. I'm a hands-on person. And so we had a man come in, and he had this horrible cough. I mean, horrible. I mean, terrible. I stuck him in a room. I took him out of the waiting room because he was bothering everybody, and I put him in a room. And after he came in to see Dr. Streeter, immediately Dr. Streeter always tells me automatically, don't even let him see me until you've had a throat culture. What that entails is a long swab, and you go to the throat, and you swab it, and then you put it under a little, you put it under a slide, and you look on the microscope. And we had a lab tech that looked on the microscope, and it was 50. And Dr. Streeter was really fantastic because when you go to the doctor with a sore throat, they may look in there, but they don't know what's growing there. They don't know if you've got strep or bacteria or a parasite or a protozoa. They don't know what's in there, and so they guess and they give you what they think is going to kill it. So Dr. Streeter, it was his requirement that you had to have a throat swab, whether you wanted it or not. So this man with this bad, horrible cough goes in and he gets his throat swab. Well, Patty calls me from the lab. Carol, you've got to come and see this. So I go back to the lab, and here I'm looking under the lab, and here's this. It looked like a kidney bean with a tail, and it was swimming. It was living. It was alive, and it was a protozoa. And when I went back to talk to the man, I said, what did you do this weekend? He said, I replaced a toilet. And I was standing in the hole. I took the toilet out and I was standing in the hole. So my guess is he got a hold of a protozoa, which is a form of I guess it's I don't know if it's in the amoeba family, but it's a parasite in his throat. And if he'd gotten, somebody gave him an antibiotic, like say penicillin, well, that wouldn't have killed it. But Dr. Cal knew to give him then an anti-parasitic, antifungal. And he came back in 3 days and he had another throat swab, and it was cleared. They had killed it. And so you just can't believe how in our world, and of course our world now, we're around people that travel. We travel. This is a small world now. We are around foreign people. And it's not bad. We're around all kinds of people. We're in all kinds of situations. Most Christians have gone on missions trips. There's every which way you could have invaders in your body. I want to challenge you. Number one, if you live under 500 miles away from me and you want to come and get a scan, private message me. Because the scan is a scan. It's a functional medicine computer scan that tests the meridians, nerves, electrical conductivity of your body. And one of the things that those of you that don't know functional medicine is all based on the total body, how the whole body works together. One of the big mistakes medicine made is when they started sending everybody, you go to a brain doctor, you go to a foot doctor, you go to an orthopedic doctor, you go to a breast doctor, you go to a gallbladder doctor, or a stomach doctor. We broke the body up to where there's no continuity, and some doctors never talk. There's no communication, and so we don't realize that the whole body, it's all connected. It all works together. When I sat down and looked up, the scan, by the way, will show you. It actually lists the parasites, names them, and it showed me that I had tapeworms, and I looked these up, and I looked up the symptoms of what they cause. And I'm like, good night. And I had so many of the symptoms. And I like all these things that I either attributed to age or stress or whatever, they were caused by one of these parasites. And so this scan will name them. It will also name bacteria. It will also name, it will give if you have early cancer, it often will show up a cancer flag. And I get 3 scans a year because your first scan does not show everything. Your first scan is going to show some things, but then as you treat, your body's like an onion. It's going to peel off, and you're going to see more things. Am I cured? No. Am I better? Markedly. I have a lot of energy. I have some good days and bad days, but when I came to Missouri in 2018, I was not well. I had been, but I was still working. I was still going forward. I was a home health nurse. I was busy. I was going to church. I was working in the nursery, but I didn't feel good. I had sluggish mornings, so I worked it out that I worked afternoons so that I could have a slow morning at home. I had a lot of shortness of breath, which I did not know what was caused. I didn't want to go get all the heart tests. I didn't want the stress of all that. And so when I went and I asked my associate pastor's wife where they went, and she's the one that told me about the scan, so I went and got the scan. And lo and behold, the answers to things I had wondered about for 10 years. And good old Dr. Streeter, he kept me going, but he didn't have a scan to test me like this. And so I found out then what was causing a lot of my discomfort and also fluid retention. I had 15 pounds of fluid on me that I didn't even know. I thought it was fat. It was fluid. So I began doing my lymphedema brushes, and I took several saunas. I took 2 or 3 saunas a month, infrared saunas, where you sweat. I got up to 100. I started at 130 degrees and got up to 145, and the sweat just pours out, which is so great because then you get the toxins out. And then I also had chiropractic adjustment. I also altered my diet, not for the standpoint to lose weight, but for the quality of foods. For example, fungus-causing foods I had to give up for a while, and I probably shouldn't even take them back. But I don't eat any corn. I don't eat grain. I very much am just about grain-free. I will eat a little bit of sourdough bread, but I'm pretty much grain-free. And I don't do mushrooms anymore because they're fungus, and I loved mushrooms. I have quite a bit of fungus in my body that I'm fighting from being over-medicated with antibiotics. And fungus is an invader. It's one of the 5 invaders. And when you itch, like you get itchiness, or you have a fungal toenail, or you've got jock itch, scalp dandruff, all of these are funguses that are eating. And when they want to grow, they just say, feed me sugar, feed me cookies. And they don't care if it's something sweet like maple syrup, or they don't care if it's a banana, because bananas are full of sugar. It can be natural sugar. And you ever notice when you eat something that's not real good, well, then you crave even more of it? Like, you can't just eat 2 potato chips. You can't really just eat 2 French fries. You could, but you'd be sort of strange. I mean, when you eat potato chips, you want at least a small bag of it. And when you want French fries, you want a pile of it. And so then what happens is it sets in the moment of the cravings. I noticed that brown rice, I don't touch brown rice because it makes me want to eat the whole pan. And very severe craving, which tells me that it's I call them feeding the bugs, feeding the beast. My grandson is so cute. He's adorable. And he and his sister, and they got tested, and they both had parasites when they were here in Missouri. And they said, Nona, we are hungry all the time. The food is eating our bugs. And we just laugh about it. But kids are very high risk. And if you have a kid that's any kid that's too picky about food, flag raising, they probably got a parasite. Picky eaters, and sadly, we give our kids sugar all the time. We're just pouring in the ice cream, pouring in the sugar. You know, folks, I feel sad at what Satan has done to us Christians. You know, those of us that have standards, that we're not going to do drugs, we're not going to do alcohol, we're not going to smoke. Some of us don't go to movies, some of us don't drink, dance, smoke, and so what are we going to do? We're going to eat. And throughout my lifetime, some of the worst habits have been by Christians. That's sort of sad. You know, the Bible says, what? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of God, and you're own. You're bought with a price. Therefore, glorify God in the body. you know, I'll be the first to say I messed up for, 40 years. I had to get really sick to change. Thank God I changed. But now I'm even in I'm 72 and I'm working, I got 10 scans this week. 10 different people are coming here for scans from different states. And I'm going with them. And I mean, it's just, and I'm taking care of my husband full blown because I want him to have a ministry. See, he's 72. Excuse me, he's 78. And I got to match all his socks and his ties so he can go preach and be with the boys that he's counseling. And so I'm very busy. Clean my old house and, of course, go buy all the food, go to the Amish farms and get it, fix it. And I just made homemade pico this week. I love homemade pico and homemade guacamole from fresh vegetables. And so as we all are busy, we are. Well, then you want to have the energy. You want to have the energy to go somewhere. You want to have the energy to have a ministry. And you don't have a temple, you have no ministry. And so therefore, what I eat, you are what you eat and absorb. I mean, I am no longer a big pepperoni pizza. Now, I do make my own pizza, but it's loaded with vegetables. And I do put some different types of, I put cashew cheese, I put artichokes, I'll put all kinds of different things on it. And I've got some good recipes on how to make zucchini. There's a really good recipe for, with sun-dried tomatoes. Oh, it's really good. So we've got to make a decision about our temples. Are you going to take care of it? Are you going to clean it out? Are you going to submit yourself unto God and get some help? And I pray every day. I say, I'm especially praying for this cleanse to be successful. And I've had enough wear and tear. By the way, 52 years ago this month, I graduated from nursing school. And I have had enough wear and tear in my body. I don't want to be in a wheelchair. I want to stay on my feet. If I'm going to stay on my feet, I've got to have more weight off. I've dropped 40. I just dropped a few more. I've dropped 40, and I'm in a size I haven't seen since like 45 years ago. And so, but I've still got some more to lose. And I've got some hanging skin I want to tighten up. And so I'm still working. Do I get disheartened? Yes. Do I fall off the wagon? Yes. Do I cheat? Yes. I try not to cheat at potlucks. I try to take a big salad. I'm going to a wedding in a couple weeks. I offered to take a big salad to the wedding because everywhere I go, I take salad and I have a big pile of it with it. So if I do get a little, like if I eat some chili, I don't know what's in it, but I have a big salad that helps balance it out. And of course, greens are so healing to the body. And so, but you know what I do? I just get back up again. A just man falls 7 times, but he rises up again. I just get up again and I go. And I start working on it. And I will show you my setup. I'll put a picture on of I got my herbs all lined up with my prescription on the wall, right on the counter, so that I will do it every day, every night. My husband and I both do. Then I've got my tray with all my parasite things. Because you know what? If I leave it in the pantry or in the bathroom closed up, I won't remember to do it all. You know, that's part of the thing, is complying to a protocol that will help you get well. And so I want to challenge you about this parasite cleansing. You need to clean house. I will send you any information you want. I have some if you want to see some pictures of tapeworms, if you want to see, if you can, woman up and face the facts and not be squeamish and say, okay, so this is what is causing it, and I'm going to trust that this is what's happening, and I'm going to treat it. You know, some people, they're like this about, they just put their head in the sand. They don't want to know. I remember Mrs. Evans, she taught me, expect the worst, but hope for the best. So what is the worst? Okay, so I have a tapeworm. So I'm going to either be squeamish and be a baby, or I'm going to be a woman and be an adult and be realistic and transparent and say, okay, I'm glad to know this whole world exists that I didn't know about. And I am going to learn, and I'm going to, Hosea 4:6 says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. I don't want to be destroyed for lack of knowledge. I already was. At age 45, I weighed 230 pounds and I was not healthy. I had mono and Epstein-Barr and liver problems, and I'm still fighting some of the things I did to my body back in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. And so I just can't believe I'm still alive. I now have outlived my father, my mentor, Mrs. Evans, all of my aunts, all of my siblings. I have 4 siblings in heaven. I'm still going. And I just want to keep helping my brothers and sisters in Christ. If you've heard this video tonight, private message me, and I can text you. I can set up an appointment. I can give you help. I can sort of what's the word I want? Give you a cleanse that fits your needs. You know, not everybody can do what I'm doing. I can pretty much control my schedule. But like tomorrow, I'm going to be gone all day. I'll be in a car and offices all day tomorrow. And so I will be packing up my water and taking it with me. I know what I'm going to do so that I can take my items with me. But I can actually, so you don't want to do a parasite cleanse when you're on vacation is my point. I want to streamline it for you. So, and then I want you to pray about, and anybody wanting to support me, $25 a month would really help this ministry. Then I can treat missionaries for nothing, which is what I'm doing. And then people who panic, and they call me and I help them and they forget to pay me. And that's okay. I just tell the Holy Spirit, you know who to bug to pay me. And so, but an average phone call is between 50 and 100, depending on where you're at and what we talk about and how long we talk. Sometimes I have a 2-hour FaceTime. And so give me a call, give me a private message and let me hear from you. And you know, God wants you healthy. He's still got a purpose for you. I don't care what your age, what your stage, what your gender, whoever you are. The Lord has a purpose. I have a pulse. I have a purpose. Therefore, I got to keep going. And Satan wants you sick, because if you're sick, you don't want to rejoice. You don't want to go soul winning. You're not an inspiration. If you're a Christian and you're sick all the time, you're not inspiring. Who wants your sick? Who wants your Christianity? So we've got to rise up, people of the Lord, and take care of our temples. And we've got to be an inspiration and love life, you know. My husband came home the first time he had a scan and he goes, Carol, our parasites are superior. We've been feeding them organic for 25 years. And he just started making me laugh. And then he had 7 funguses and he goes, Carol, I'm a fun guy. And you know what? We have a good time with it. We're not all bent out of shape and upset and, oh, you know, you're bugs. But yes, we joke about it a lot. Because you know what? The joy of the Lord is my strength. You may have anxiety and depression due to hidden causes. I'll be talking about the next one next week, which is hormones. I'll be praying for you. Remember, God wants you healthy and Satan wants you sick. God bless you. I love you. Rejoice in the Lord always. Bye-bye.